Let's get a read, though, on the macro environment. There is a lot going on more broadly. We've got Peter McGuire here joining us in the studio from XM. Thanks for coming in on a public holiday, Peter.
Lovely to be here, Ingrid.
Look, there is a lot to talk about, particularly Trump. I think we've got to sort of focus on that for now.
Sure.
The coronavirus diagnosis, I guess, for Trump, the positive result. What does this mean? Because we saw huge moves on markets, huge response last week on Friday, of course, when it was announced. Since, though, you know, we've seen Trump speak this morning. He's sort of been drip feeding certain little tidbits on Twitter and whatnot over the last few days over the weekend. What do you make of this? How might this impact markets going forward?
Well, how do you work it out? You saw that big sell-off as far as Nasdaq down 2.25%, S&P down 1%, and the Dow down 0.5%. Soft NFP numbers on Friday night, that's non-farm payroll, and I feel as though that softness may wash over to Asia today, but we've had a fairly strong move. If you look at the screen there, up the best part of 1%, bid up before the SPY futures opened. So maybe it's going to buck the trend here in Australia. It's a very hard one to pick. All I know is that volatility story running up to the 3rd of November, I don't think it's going to go away.
Yeah, it's interesting. It does. I mean, the election, this is all election related, and obviously we were already seeing volatility ahead of the election. There was already going to be interesting trading in the next few weeks, but this just, ratchets it up, doesn't it, really?
Well, exactly right. And your words, we spoke off camera, said, well, Trump's been there. He's been to the COVID school now.
Yeah, that's what he said this morning.
Yeah.
Yep.
So is that going to be his platform over the next couple of weeks against Biden? I've been there.
Yep.
I understand the condition. I understand the situation.
Well, that's if he can even campaign. I mean,
that's
and
right.
Then the question comes, well,
can he recover?
Is he as well as he's saying this morning? I mean, he's been on oxygen a couple of times. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but who
he's
knows
74
how this
years
may
of age.
play out.
Yep.
If he doesn't campaign much in the next couple of weeks, does that throw into disarray in terms of how the election plays out?
Well, I'd say so. It creates, again, more uncertainty, and that creates more volatility for markets. No one can really put a floor to it to see a true indication where we're moving forward to. Biden's ahead, but does Trump get a sympathy vote out of this? It's too hard to call. All I know is that you might see further softness across those US equities with that weaker than expected non-farm payroll. We were expecting about that 850,000 mark on Friday night, approximate. We got 661,000. So that's not as strong as what we had experienced in July and August. And that's really a concern moving into those winter months.
Yeah, stimulus, another thing we're watching closely.
Sure.
Obviously, you're watching it in the United States. We're just still hoping for more, or at least investors are hoping for more. Markets, no doubt, are hoping for more. How much are we watching that situation? Can we put it to bed till after the election?
Maybe yes and maybe no.
It's that at the moment, though, isn't it?
Well,
There's a lot of uncertainty in that.
Yeah, I mean, you flick a coin up, and halfway through the flick, you're going, is it heads or tails? Because that's how the market's moving so quickly.
All right, so rephrase. How do you trade that? What do you do?
Have a look at oil. Over the last matter of days, we're now at that 37 handle as far as WTI. Everyone was expecting it was going to move up from here to 45 over the last couple of weeks. It was strong, there was a little bit of push, and then all of a sudden it's got spanked down very, very hard. So that really shows, that's always a barometer that I look at, far more than just copper.
Yeah.
Really, oil is the heartbeat of what the markets are doing, and that's showing me softness, so that in turn creates, I think, great for if you're wanting to short a market, but if you're trying to be along from a producing standpoint, it's not looking that great leading into Christmas. So that creates, again, the uncertainty factor. You've got those big numbers starting to spike again. I'm looking at the weekend, Russia. Have a look what's happening as far as Europe, France, UK. These aren't good times. These are very harrowing times. Italy's starting to climb back up. So I think it's going to be a very bleak Christmas, not only from the COVID numbers and from economic, but really where does the market trade from here? And I think it's going to be a soft this quarter. We're already the 5th of October, and I feel as though we may not get any further uptick by 5th of January.
So let's talk here at home, because we've got an RBA meeting and budget in the next sort of 24 hours, 48, 36, whatever, in the next day or so. What does that do to markets going forward? I mean, if we get a surprise decision from the RBA, obviously that could move markets.
Could go.
Aussie.
Well, yeah, I mean, first off, we're at 0.25. So do they go to 0.1 as far as that rate cut, or do they roll out that 3-year forecast and make it 4 or 5 and lengthen that time duration as far as the yield curve? The other side, of course, is that the interest rate futures are not pricing anything in as far as a rate cut yet. So maybe it's they're all going to play that over this today and tomorrow. Who knows what the RBA and what their thoughts are? But I would say that I wouldn't be surprised to see a rate cut. The next part is you've got a budget. What happens to the Aussie dollar? I'd say there'd be further softness, and there's probably that US dollar seems to have bounced a little bit in the last couple of days. So that could bounce up. Aussie dollar down, that may be a good trade in itself.
So much going on, so much to digest, and as you said, a lot of flipping the coin over the next few weeks. So just got to stay focused, I guess, when it comes to the trading strategy. Pete, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming in on public holiday. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Lovely to be here, Ingrid.